Hi. Please grab a cup of tea because we are going to have a chat. So for those of you who are new here, I'm Rose and I am a personal finance YouTuber. I'm also in the middle of writing a book. It's going to be all about how to free yourself financially, a no BS guide to getting good with money. Title is TBD, but I'll keep you posted on that. Anyway, I wanted to sit down and do one of these life update videos. It's really been a minute since I've done one of them. I do like to keep you guys in the loop of what's going on in my personal life. You know, a lot of my videos are very polished and mostly just me teaching and talking about finance. But as you know, there's a lot more to me, right? I used to do these fun like van life videos, vlogs on my channel, and that was a lot of fun. And I'm feeling called to just mix in more of my personal story in this. So I have some life lessons, some changes in my life that are coming up that I really want to share with you about. More importantly, talk through the reasoning behind my decisions, because I feel like life in your 30s, or just life in general, we're just trying to figure it out. Like nobody gave us a manual. There's so many things to consider. You know, I'm 35. It's like a very transitional period. This is around the time when a lot of us are finding our footing in career. You know, we're not like naive and broke like we were in our 20s, but we're still not like fully formed adults. We're still trying to figure out like our partner, our family, our community, and our parents are starting to get older. Some of us are wanting to have kids and settle down. It's like a very transitional period, right? And there's just a lot to consider, whether it's about money or career or what you're passionate about or health or where you live. So these are all kinds of things that I wanted to talk through in this video in the hopes that just by you hearing the thought process behind me, one person's, you know, approach on life, it'll maybe give you some ideas for yours. And you can share with me in the comments and we can have a chat, because this thing called life is very, very fun and interesting, and there's just no right answers to anything. We're just figuring it out as we go. So I've just learned so much in the last few years, and so that's what I'm here to share with you. I don't know how this video is going to go. It's going to be potentially a little bit rambly, so feel free to use the timestamps below, or just click out if you don't want to watch it. But yeah, I have about three things to share with you, and so we'll just see how it goes. So the first major life update that I wanted to share is that after 3 years of living in Mexico City, I have decided to move on. And you can even see some of my older videos on my channel. I posted a lot about Mexico City. I even bought my dream home here in Mexico City. And to this day, it still is my dream home. It's beautiful. And I actually bought the place because I thought Mexico City was gonna be my place. Maybe not for my entire life, but for a good chunk of time, I thought I would make my life here. It's interesting how destiny and fate just never really goes the way as planned. Like, what is it they say? Life is what happens to you when you're making plans, or instead of you making plans, or something like that. So long story short, I bought my dream place. It was sort of like my biggest reward for when my business started taking off. And it was sort of like this big thing that I've always wanted to do. I wanted to have a home, and kind of getting into sharing more personal details here, but I was getting over a divorce in 2020, and that prompted my move to Mexico City. I was just ready for a brand new chapter, brand new country, a new adventure. And I thought, what better place than a cool place like Mexico City? I have been so eager to just settle down somewhere and have like a place to call home that I went ahead and bought a place in Mexico City. Because there's something about owning a place that makes you feel a lot more rooted, like you own the place that you live in. I didn't want to rent, even though honestly that really would have been the simpler, easier decision. And in retrospect, I'm wondering if it even was the right decision to buy a place instead of rent. Okay, I'm rambling here. I'll get to the point in a minute. Long story short, I am leaving Mexico City after 3 years of being here to live in LA. The main reason is because I've been in a long distance relationship. About a few months into living in this home, I swear to you, the week I signed on this apartment that I bought in Mexico City, I met my now boyfriend in California. I was at a music festival, we met. It wasn't supposed to be anything serious, but it just turned into something serious. And here we are, long distance relationship 2 years later. So as fate would have it, I was dating all over Mexico City on Bumble and Tinder. I was on all the apps and I didn't meet anyone here. The person I met ended up being in LA. So that's one main reason why I'm moving. But the other thing I want to talk about is something that might resonate with those of you who are interested in moving abroad, living the digital nomad life. I know nowadays it's more and more popular to go abroad to like Portugal or Spain or Mexico or Colombia or somewhere with a nicer quality of living and potentially more affordable places. And that is actually the main reason why I loved Mexico City. Of course, other than the culture, like all that has to be there. I really loved that it was quite comfortable to live here, unlike certain US cities like New York City, where just everything's just crazy expensive and you can't really do much unless you're quite rich. So I really liked that. I liked that I could like live pretty simple and minimal and have a very low overhead and therefore have more money to enjoy on travel and just not stress about money that much. And I agree. A lot of people make decisions of where they live based on cost of living. And I admit at the time, that was one of my primary decision-making factors for where I choose to live. So I thought, Mexico City, amazing city. I love the weather. I love the people. I love the culture. I speak the language. I've been learning Spanish since I was 18. And it's also very affordable to live here. So I'm going to live here and buy a place here. That worked for a while. Then I met my partner. And also I started thinking more long-term. Because that's what happens when you hit like your mid-30s. You start thinking about where you want to spend the rest of your life, or at least that's the case for me. Like you start thinking about where you might want to start a family, where will you root down? I think like in your 20s, we're just like exploring different cities, you move around a lot. It's okay to be transient. A lot of us like move away from home for college. So it's very normal to move around. And I loved that. I have lived in 4 different countries by now, and that's not including Korea where I was born. And like my life has just been nomad adventures abroad all over the place. I have probably never lived in the same place for longer than 2 years. And I'm finally reaching the point where I'm like, I actually want to root down somewhere and literally like potentially not move ever again and just like find roots and community somewhere. It's interesting how like your values change, That's what's happening to me. I've gone from valuing adventure and new experiences and affordable cost of living to actually valuing family and community and having roots. And I used to be such a loner. Like I would have friends, but I never really had like a fixed friend group anywhere. I don't know if any of you can relate. I just never had that fixed friend group. I would like float around among many different friend groups, but I didn't have like my core tribe. And I realized just thinking back on my life, it's because I've been moving around so much. And so that is the main reason behind me leaving Mexico City, because first of all, I couldn't imagine myself being here when I'm like in my 40s or 50s. This was really supposed to be more of a cool short-term adventure for maximum maybe 5 years. So I didn't reach 5 years, I only reached 3, but I wanted to pick a city where I could actually imagine myself having a family, like raising a family and potentially like getting older there. Crazy to think about. I'm only 35. Why am I already thinking about this? I don't know. It's given me a lot of anxiety for the last year or two. Like, where am I going to live? Where are we going to end up? Where are we going to, take care of our parents when they grow old? Like where are our friends going to be? Where are we going to find our community? Should we go to France? Because that's where my partner's from. And he has a ton of friends there. His family's there. So we were like, should we move to France? Or should you come to Mexico? Or is there somewhere in the States that we would like? It's given me a lot of anxiety, and I'm so relieved because finally we came up with a solution. I realized that I have always wanted to live by the beach. I have always loved LA. And by the way, I love music festivals, Burning Man, all of that is around LA. Like LA is the hub for that kind of thing. It never occurred to me until now to live in LA, literally because LA is so expensive. And because I'm like a finance person and I'm smart about money, I should choose somewhere that has a low cost of living. And financially, it is very smart to live in Mexico City or any city where your money goes a long way. And of course, California taxes are really high. So it literally never crossed my mind to live in one of the cities that I felt the most amazing in because of money. This is like the big realization, because my life in Mexico City is so economical that I really wouldn't even have to work anymore. I could live off of income from my investments and pretty much be fairly comfortable and essentially like enjoy financial freedom and independence. However, now that I'm moving to LA, things are gonna change a lot, because LA is expensive. My tax situation is gonna change. I'm gonna go from paying like almost nothing for a house that I own because I paid for it in cash to like paying pretty high rent in LA. And this is all gonna be a big change. So essentially I like considered myself financially free, but that was only while I was in Mexico City. Like if I went anywhere else that was more expensive, I wouldn't be financially free. If your definition of financially free is that you can live off of your investments and never have to work again. But now that I'm moving to LA, I'm basically back to just a normal person status. Sure, I have like investment income and passive stuff coming in, but I think like my target for financial freedom, like the amount of money I would need invested in order to consider myself financially free, has moved considerably. Like now, like there's a lot more like for the lifestyle that I'd want to have for myself and for my family. You know, if I were to have kids, which I really want someday, it's going to be more like I would need like a couple $1 million, like at least 5 million and up, you know, invested to like live off of that with a family in California. I think one of my realizations from all of this is that, number one, how can you really consider yourself like good at money and financially free if you're making your decisions based around money? Like, I want to live in LA, but I wasn't living there because of money. That's so stupid. That's what I realized. You should live where you want and then make the money work around that, not the other way around. And actually, I was kind of doing the opposite. So there's a lesson that I've learned there that I wanted to share with you, that financial freedom is only really freedom if you're making the money work around your life choices and not the other way around. The other thing that I realized is, as you grow older, and I'm not saying I'm old, I'm 35. Like I feel like I'm 20 sometimes with my level of impulsivity, and just sometimes I can be quite a mess, even though you can't tell on camera, but definitely behind the scenes, I have my days. I definitely don't feel 35. And I keep talking about getting old, but I don't really mean it that way, but it's different. Life in your 30s is different from your 20s. So these are all like the thoughts that are running through my mind these days. And one of the major ones is community. Like, I really want to build community. I think that one of the problems with America is that people are so individualistic. I actually really learned that living here in Mexico. Mexicans have a much more communal culture. A lot of people will live in their parents' homes until they get married, or until they're much older. And even so, they won't move very far away. And they'll like get together every Sunday at grandma's house for a big family dinner and just really like help each other out. In America, I know like people tend to just be very separate from their families and just kind of live their own life, which is great. It has its pros and cons, but I'm really missing like some element of community. Like, it's great to have friends here and there, but it's different to have like a tribe, you know, like people that you see every day, people that you can count on for anything, to be like basically your soul family. And people that you can like raise your kids with, for example. That's something that I never even thought about, or like, you know, it just wasn't a thing. It might be because I never saw that growing up. My parents are immigrants. I'm an immigrant too. And we grew up like pretty isolated. My entire extended family was in Korea. So I grew up like without that example. But now that I'm like defining what it is that I want for my own life, I'm realizing that is something that I absolutely want to create. I could create that here in Mexico City. I've actually made some amazing friends here, the beginnings of a beautiful community. But then my boyfriend is not here, my partner, like the person that I love the most. And not only that, I think it is very difficult to seriously move abroad and like live there for good. Like, I know, like, kudos to expats who do it. As fun as the last 3 years have been here in Mexico City, they've also been really difficult. Like, it's not easy navigating a new medical system in a new country in a new language, and then all the like little things that you like to order on Amazon or your creature comforts, like they're not here because Mexico doesn't have a lot of stuff that the US does. The more I thought about it, the less I could envision myself like living here for good and making a home here. So not that I can't create tribe and community here, but I want to do it somewhere where I could see myself actually, rooting down for the long term, for the long haul. Otherwise, you create community and then you move, and then you create community there and then you move again, and then you never really are building anything lasting. I don't want to do that anymore. So that's like one major thing that has been on my mind lately. I would love to hear your thoughts on how you make decisions around where you want to live. And how you chose the city that you're currently living in, because it's a very big life decision, So basically, this move from Mexico City to LA, there's a couple of life lessons, learnings in that I wanted to share. One being this move towards prioritizing a desire to create community and be rooted. And the other realization is that financial freedom is a moving target. You could reach financial freedom, you could maybe hit your number, but then your life's gonna change. You're gonna meet someone, or you're gonna wanna have a family, or maybe a parent is gonna need more help. All of a sudden, like things change. So financial freedom, I think, is never just like a destination, like one number that you hit and you've arrived. And it might actually be a moving target for as long as you live. And then the next little life update and learning that I realized is there's nothing more important than your peace and your freedom. And by that, I'm referring to all the lessons that I learned around investing this year and last year. As some of you may know, I have a rental property in Las Vegas that had a huge accident last year, and the house got completely destroyed. I had to spend money out of pocket. It's been a whole year of basically just construction nightmare, like getting that house repaired. So that was a huge kick in the face life learning about investing, because when I bought those rental properties, I thought, oh, it's the smart thing to do, right? Like if you're smart, you invest in real estate. Like it's very smart to have rental property. Most people wouldn't even argue with that. Technically speaking, that is very true. It's smart to own rental property. But the other thing that people don't talk about is what's the cost in terms of your freedom? Sure, it might bring you passive cash flow. It might help you with financial freedom, like bring another income source outside of your paycheck. Yes, but rental property is a fucking headache sometimes. Not sometimes, a lot of the time. And that is what I realized. So I have 3 rental properties, and one of them has been extremely passive, very few issues. The second one has had a good number of issues, and the third has had crazy, just nightmare issues. Of course, I have a property manager who helps me with all of this. What I realized is no matter what, if you are a remote rental property landlord, it's going to be a lot harder. So for those of you who make a really high income living in a major city, but you want to do remote rental property investing in cheaper parts of the US, I personally do not like the idea unless you are okay being hands-on to some degree and flying to that location. That's what I realized. I think there's a lot of places that they're gonna pitch to you that, oh, you can be a remote rental property owner. It's gonna be so good. You just sit back and collect cash and everyone will do the work for you. But that's not true. At the end of the day, you're the one who owns the place and you're the one who's gonna have to make decisions. It's on you. So for example, I'm fixing up this property in Las Vegas. I've basically been trying to manage the contractors remotely. And for something like fixing up a house, that's really hard to do. And I literally had no time to go to Vegas to just make it all happen. And so imagine I'm on FaceTime with my property manager and she's trying to help me pick out a floor color for the house, something that will match something that I'll like. And that's really hard to do when you're remote. You're gonna have to learn so much about property and construction that if you're not interested in this stuff, then I really don't think rental property investing is for you. I never went into this wanting to know the difference between plastering a pool and doing epoxy paint on a pool. Yet I found myself looking at quotes from 3 different people for fixing up the pool, epoxy, plaster, and learning about all the different types of pool pumps, because at the end of the day, I'm the one who has to pay for it. So I do want to know what work is being done. No matter what, to some level, you do need to understand this stuff. I think some people would really enjoy this. If you really enjoy hands-on construction, hands-on stuff, then this is totally for you. But I don't enjoy this. I like to sit back and collect my dividends and money, and I don't really want to know any of the details. So from this, I realized that it's not just about what you should invest in. It's also about what kind of life you want to have and how much freedom you want to have. Like rental property gives you income that is somewhat passive, but it comes with a lot of responsibility. And with that comes a lot of mental bandwidth too. Like I'll be sitting at home on my couch and like thinking about my rental properties and whether things are going well, and if I forgot to respond to that contractor, and if I have to return a call for this plumber or whatever. Like there's just always little things. So that's just something that I learned, and I think I'm going to be slowly getting rid of my rental property portfolio and moving it all over to stocks one by one. Anyway, that was one big learning. I have gotten my ass kicked, absolutely ass kicked in real estate investing. On this property that got into an accident, I'm pretty much gonna break even or make a small profit. The other two properties, they're doing quite well, so let's not jinx that. But I've definitely just had a hell of a ride as a first time rental property owner. So anyway, those are my life updates. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to share. Yeah, I guess I'll leave you with one more thing. I really hope this video is not getting too long. My last life update is about this book that I'm writing. I am really, really excited to share it with you. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, writing a book, because you have to just get past your own demons. Like I have so much imposter syndrome writing this book, even though rationally I know I am so qualified to write this book. Like people are gonna learn so much from this book and get so much value out of it. Like this needs to come out into the world. But there are moments where I'm like, what the hell am I doing writing a book? You know? So I thought that was interesting to share, because you would think when you're starting out, like when I started this YouTube channel, I had so much imposter syndrome. Like I was terrified to post my first video. And now like almost 5 years later, or however long it's been, I've earned my, what do you call it? Like I've earned my confidence, you know, I've earned the right to not have imposter syndrome. Yet here I am having imposter syndrome. Maybe what I want to share with you around that is, if there's something that you want to do and you have imposter syndrome, just fucking do it anyway, because like no matter how many followers you have, no matter how much money you've made or how successful you've gotten, I think imposter syndrome is just always gonna be there to some level. I think what really separates people who are successful and doing the thing from the people who are just always wishing and like living life on the sidelines are the people who manage to get past imposter syndrome. So that's what I keep telling myself. I'm telling you advice that I need to be hearing right now, because for me to finish this book, I just really need to coach myself out of this kind of imposter syndrome mentality. And it's good. I managed to do that. It's just need to have positive self-talk. Also, I forgot to mention this in the video, but for those of you who are wondering, I'm going to hold on to my Mexico City apartment and just turn it into an Airbnb in the meantime. I'm hoping it'll be a nice little income stream. I'll definitely keep you posted on how that goes. And in the meantime, I like that I have a little landing pad in Mexico City if I ever want to visit. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to share. I'm really looking forward to showing you updates about my LA life. I think it's going to be really good for me. I plan to walk along the beach every single morning. So good for the health too, and just make friends. Maybe I'll document if there seems to be enough interest. I'll post more about sort of my own journey of how I build community, create lasting friendships, and find like my place in the world in LA. That would mean a lot to me to bring you along that journey with me. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me how so many of you have accompanied me along this journey. You'll probably see more like camper van adventures too, because my camper van is in LA and there's so many great nature camping weekend trips to be had there. So yeah, look forward to that and many more videos to come. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.